Today's trip down the Turnpike is brought to you by Drizzly, your online liquor store. Available in over 95 cities across North America, Drizzly offers a huge selection and competitive pricing with a side of personalized content. Now there's no need to leave the house. Get alcohol delivered in less than an hour by Drizzly. Head on over to drizzly.com and order today. And now get $5 off your first order of $20 or more when using promo code DRINK19 at checkout. Shop beer, wine, and liquor with drizzly.com. Welcome to Turnpike Sports. I'm Dave Weishuttle, and as always, I'm joined by my producer and co-host, Doug Weishuttle. Doug, knee-deep in the NHL and NBA playoffs, and I can't remember ever seeing this many injuries in either final in my life. It's just ridiculous.
It's kind of unique. Shows how some of this is hard-hitting. Some of this is just freak accidents. I mean, Chara's broken jaw there.
Yeah.
I've never seen that. I mean, never face block a puck, but I think that wasn't intentional that he did it that way.
Sure, and then the Golden State Warriors to turn to the NBA, they're the walking wounded, and I'm not sure what's going on with them. Boy.
Well, I'm still surprised they're talking about putting Durant in at some point. I don't know.
I don't know how you can do that. Has he even touched the basketball yet, or has he done any drills? Has he practiced at all? I don't know if you can just throw him in.
I don't know. He was doing good up until the calf injury, but let's see. They do need him.
Yeah.
And now with Klay Thompson.
Yeah, absolutely. Boy, I'm sure this is wreaking havoc in the betting community because no one knows who's playing from night to night. And, speaking of the betting community, stick around later on because I'm going to interview two authors of, I think, one of the best sports betting books out there. The book is called The Logic of Sports Betting, and I'm going to talk to Ed Miller and Matthew Davidow.
Great book.
Outstanding book. It'll tell you all about sports betting, the business of sports betting, and what bettors can look out for to make some real money if you're going to throw down some money on some sports.
Yeah, no, it's a great interview, great book, both very intelligent guys, and stick around for that because you'll learn a lot.
Yeah, like I said, it's a busy week in sports, so let's take a ride down the Turnpike. And today's trip down the Turnpike is brought to you by Drizzly, your online liquor store. Available in over 95 cities across North America, Drizzly offers a huge selection and competitive pricing with a side of personalized content. Now there's no need to leave the house. Get alcohol delivered in less than an hour by Drizzly. Head on over to drizzly.com and order today. Now get $5 off your first order of $20 or more when using our promo code DRINK19 at checkout. Shop beer, wine, and liquor with drizzly.com.
Exit 1.
All right, we're going to do some sports betting here and another busy week.
Yep, absolutely.
This one is for the techies out there, and it
I don't understand any of this stuff.
It kind of explains why Pennsylvania was slow to get some of the online stuff together. It's actually kind of going to interfere with a lot of people if this isn't straightened out pretty soon. New Apple policy for the Apple Store. Supposedly they want the betting app, the real money betting apps, to be done in native Apple language for coding instead of the HTML5 that they currently are in. And if they don't comply with this, which actually the programming is a lot of work, and I don't know, they got 3 months basically, September 3rd, I believe.
So they have to submit it by September 3rd,
or they're going to be removed from the store.
Okay, that's ridiculous.
So it's a difficult thing to do because they've been just a lot of these online sites use the coding of they're a wraparound on the online casino sites. So it's not really Apple language. It's not really Android language. It's whatever the coding is for the online casino, HTML5 version of it, and they just put it up there. It's a smaller app version of the online site, which Apple doesn't want.
Now, I'm a little removed from this because I have Android on my phone, so that's not going to affect Android players, right? This is just Apple, right?
Well, how do you think I feel? I have a BlackBerry.
Oh, yeah, well.
And it's a Google Android system now, but still, 40% of the people that are on with the online betting and stuff, the consumers, are Apple users.
Wow.
So we'll see what happens with there. They got till September 3rd. It's a major tech problem, I think, and it's going to be interesting to see how quickly these get submitted, if they do get in by that September 3rd, because that's going to affect football.
Yeah, no, they have to. That's imperative. If you're a sports betting operator, you need to get all your ducks in a row before football season.
Yep, and speaking of mobile operators, they're going to be affected by the new Illinois sports betting
I can't
law.
believe this. This is really strange.
Well, Illinois passed their sports betting legislation, and basic stuff. I mean, to a certain extent, prohibits betting on Illinois schools. Let's see. Mobile betting will be available immediately for casinos, racetracks, and sports venues. 18-month delay for just mobile-only sites, and that's where the big issue is.
So people like DraftKings and FanDuel
and PointsBet and anybody else that actually has their own brand and they're mobile-only, they have to wait 18 months.
To actually go online under their own banner.
Right.
But I guess they can partner with a brick-and-mortar entity, but the problem is they can't. They have to
be under the brick and mortar entity's brand.
Yeah, for the mobile though. I mean, if DraftKings does a deal with Caesars,
it'd be Caesars.
It'd be going online as Caesars.
Right.
So
initial licenses, the sports wagering licenses are $10 million, valid for 4 years.
All right.
Online only licenses will start at $20 million.
Wow. Okay.
And what's interesting about this bill, and I think it's going to be fun to watch what happens here in a certain segment of the sports areas. It's going to allow sports facilities with a seating capacity of over 17,000 to apply for a master sports wagering license, which allows them to offer, which will allow the facilities to offer sports betting within a 5-block radius of the venue.
So, I mean, theoretically, we'll be able to see sports betting kiosks at Soldiers Field.
Tellers.
Oh, and teller. Okay, I was. I heard this in the news. I'm thinking, they're probably just doing kiosks or something like that. But I didn't even think of the teller part of it.
You'll have
actual windows you walk up to, huh?
Yeah, and
interesting.
The pro spots, Wrigley Field, where the Comiskey Park, where the White Sox play.
Do they still call it Comiskey Park?
I call it Comiskey Park because it's the only way I can remember that. But Soldier Field, I'm curious to see what happens with the colleges. Because there's a couple venues, college venues, that are over 17,000 people.
Yeah, but you can't bet on college sports.
Who cares about college? That doesn't matter. You can bet on pro.
So you mean I can, if I'm Saturday watching a University of Illinois game, the Fighting Illini, and I go get a beer, and they might have a teller?
They might have it for every other sport.
That's interesting.
Because I want to see what the NCAA does with this.
Well, I think the NCAA hates all this stuff anyway.
I don't think so.
I don't know. They come out with these statements saying, we want to make sure that that's why they have these things in these laws. I mean, you can't bet on New Jersey has it too. You can't bet on college sports that are in New Jersey.
But the facilities clause doesn't exclude NCAA venues.
Interesting. So
I want to see what happens with that. And the NCAA may not be able to stop that as long as they're not betting on Illinois schools. That are part of the NCAA, you may see tellers and kiosks in University of Illinois stadiums.
Wow, interesting.
That sort of stuff. And I saw somebody post a stat that the potential for 39 sports betting venues under this bill
That's
in
a
Chicago,
lot. That's
in
a
Illinois.
Lot. Yeah, I don't know.
All skins, the online, the brick and mortar, the new casinos. Chicago's going to get a new casino because of this.
Interesting. So
yeah. And speaking of new ventures, you have Circa Sports. They launched over in Vegas.
Yeah, Golden Gate Hotel and Casino.
We talked about them last week.
Yep.
And the one thing I wanted to bring up is Circa Sports is not done. They started in Golden Gate. The next one on June 19th, they're going to have a launch of a Circa Sports satellite program at the sister property of Golden Gate, the D Las Vegas.
I have no idea where that is. Is that?
They're all in the same area.
Okay.
Yeah. They're all owned by Derek Stevens.
Now I know there's going to be an outdoor one, right? When is that?
That's coming December 2020.
Oh, okay. So
Stadium style.
Okay, so we're over a year away, year and a half away.
Well, that's going to be in the brand new place called the Circa. It's going to be an actual brand of a casino and sports book. So Circa is going to be built.
I would love to see that, an outdoor sports book. I mean, it's something you can't do in the Northeast, but
unless you have a retractable roof,
I guess so. But no,
that's
something pretty cool.
The renderings are amazing for the big stadium style sports book with the big LED screen and everything. Going to be the biggest one. So it'll be fun to watch what happens there. Two legislations coming down the road here. Ohio is considering a bill that's going to allow sports betting through the Ohio Lottery Commission. The interesting aspect of this bill is not only is it casinos and racinos, but you may see bowling alleys and bars.
See, that'd be good. That'd be really cool. Bowling alleys and bars.
Yeah, and also you're also looking at fraternal and veterans organizations may be included in the language for sports betting.
Interesting.
So there may be a little different twist in Ohio coming.
In Massachusetts, you can play Keno in bars.
Yeah,
you actually won $400
playing Keno
during lunch.
Yeah.
So you know what? Why not sports bet in bars? I mean, if you're allowed Keno in bars, you should allow sports betting in bars.
Well, you can also now maybe in Ohio go to the VFW.
Yeah, that'd be
bet
good
there too. And Indiana, they're going to try and be very aggressive to launch their sports betting programs, I should say. Casinos, horse racing casinos, off-track betting facilities. They're going to start accepting applications July 1st, hoping for a September 1st launch of sports betting just in time for football.
Wow, that's quick.
Yeah.
That's a quick turnaround.
I don't know if they can do it.
I don't think so. That's really fast.
Yeah, and the one thing regarding the mobile aspect of this, because mobile is key for looks like everything now. I mean, look at New Jersey. New Jersey's 80% mobile.
Yeah, over 80%. I think it was 81% or something like that.
Right now, Indiana is going to be requiring people to do in-person signups for mobile.
See, that sucks.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be a little difficult for a lot of people, but we'll watch what happens. I don't know if they're going to hit that September 1st deadline or goal or whatever they want to call it, but it'll be fun to see exactly how aggressive they really are in this. And last but not least, because I'm a huge fan of metal music, not the current metal music, the 80s stuff that was actually pretty cool, not the like grunge type crap that's out there now. Metal Casino has launched its own sportsbook with Gaming Innovation Group.
Where is this now?
This is UK.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's an online casino. Their spokesperson is Ozzy Osbourne.
Okay.
It's all the the 80s metals bands, everything else. They even have their own currency. You know, this Bitcoin stuff, they have Met coins. You know, metal, Met, M-E-T.
Okay.
Met coins.
All right.
You can buy tickets to concerts. You can buy customized merchandise in their merchandising room. And you can also arrange to meet up with some of the metal bands.
Okay.
Either online or, in person at a concert, that sort of thing. I just figured that was kind of a unique little thing.
It is very unique.
Exit 2.
Okay, over in the eSports world, we got a couple interesting little things happening. Microsoft has partnered with Cloud9 to bring what they're terming sports analytics to the Cloud9 eSports team.
Analytics to eSports. I guess
they're trying to make what's
going
going on with the sports betting.
Are they gearing up for betting on this?
Well, that's going to be the key. Yeah. Esports is going to grow by leaps and bounds without betting, but imagine what happens when it does have betting attached to it.
I guess so.
But Microsoft is going to be working with Cloud9. They're going to be doing eye tracking, reaction time measurement, hand-eye coordination measurement.
When you say eye tracking,
what they're seeing on the screen,
your actual eyeball.
Yeah,
they're going to be. Okay.
They have tech that can actually track where.
I know there's eye gaming, and I just thought that was when you said eye tracking.
No, but they're going to be doing Cloud9 players, biometric data from the players, and they're going to compare it to the video game content that they're actually playing while they're taking the data.
When you're saying biometric, I mean
what I just said, eye tracking,
heart
all
rate
that stuff.
Oh my god.
And they're also going to be doing it for their opponents during the contests.
Wow.
So Cloud9 is going to have both their own and their opponents' data to actually see exactly how people react to playing certain games in certain situations. So this is going to be interesting to watch. This is an interesting development, and Microsoft it's the first one where it's a game publisher that's doing this. And a lot of people have an eyebrow raised as to maybe this is an unfair advantage for Cloud9 to have the publisher actually doing this for them on their games.
Well, hey, it's good for if they can
Yep.
make the deal with it's
Yep.
why not?
And coming up this summer, we have Full Sail. Last week we talked about Full Sail University.
Yeah, this is the second week I'm hearing Full Sail University. Last
Fortress.
week I didn't even know where it was. It's in Florida, right?
Well, they built their eSports arena, the Fortress, and right off the bat, they have the NBA 2K League coming in.
Well, just to backtrack from last week, the Fortress is the biggest esports arena on a college campus,
Yep.
right? Am I getting that right?
A $6 million, 11,000 square foot esports arena, seating more than 500 with high-tech monitors and video production equipment. NBA 2K is coming in. They're going to be doing a tournament that's going to have a $180,000 prize pool.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So, and this is the first time NBA 2K is having a tournament in Florida. It's also the only second time it's being hosted outside of New York.
Oh, okay.
So this is a big deal for Full Sail University, but it's also a big deal for Central Florida and Florida to have a NBA 2K event. And last but not least for esports this week, Formula One, the F1 New Balance esports series. This year we'll have Ferrari participating in it.
So Ferrari is going to be do I call them a sponsor?
No, they have a team.
They have a team. Oh, wow. Okay.
They didn't have a team last year. Every other major company that runs an F1 Grand Prix racing team
Okay.
had a team. It had an esports team,
Now,
except Ferrari.
Now, when they're doing esports, I remember growing up, there was this video game in the arcades where you actually sit down and you sit behind the wheel of a simulated car. Is this what we're talking about here, or is this?
I don't know if they have the wheel, the steering wheel. I think they have the controllers.
Okay.
Because depending on the game, I know some of these car games that mix in racing as well as they combine it with soccer, where you have to score a goal with the car. Other ones have
Really?
Other ones have weapons on the car. It's like a duel.
That's a little too much for me. That's when I was growing up, I could barely keep that thing on the road. Now, well, you're kicking soccer balls with a car and having weapons, huh?
Well, this is where your biometric data comes in.
Yeah, my biometric data would be off the chart because I'd be
Exactly.
off the road.
Exit 3.
All right, this is becoming all the rage now for Major League Baseball teams, and I think it's a matter of maybe the in-stadium crowds are waning a little bit. Earlier this year, in May, we had the Minnesota Twins doing what they called a ticket flash sale, home ticket flash sale.
That's right. Yeah, I was trying to think. We talked about this before. Yeah.
And they sold 30,000 home game tickets for May in 48 hours.
So it's a big success
For the Twins, yes.
for the Twins. All right.
Then they sold out a second round of $5 tickets, with standing room only. So I'm assuming, it caught on because now we have Detroit, the Detroit Tigers, which are averaging only 16,000 fans a game, the fifth worst figure in Major League Baseball. They did one. And they sold 20,000 tickets in the first 2 days of a 3-day flash sale.
Wow, good.
10,000 tickets were sold on the first day. They had added more sections. It was June home games. They were selling for as low as $9.
That's great.
That's in the upper deck.
Yeah.
And then $14 in the lower bowl. And there was no add-on fees. So basically, you were buying the ticket, no tax, no other things, no whatever else is attached to a Detroit Tiger home ticket.
If you can combine this with Dollar Dog Night, I think you have something special for the family.
I think they should be including something like that in with the tickets.
Dollar Dog Night. We always have that the Phillies game. I don't think they do it with the Yankees or the Mets.
You'll see that
The
more.
Phillies do a lot of Dollar Dog Nights.
Well, you'll see that more in minor league games now too,
Yeah.
more so than the professional leagues.
The MLB should take a cue from the minor league teams with their promotions. They have some of the greatest promotions.
Yeah, and it helped them sell the home games for June. I don't know if it's going to do anything for the rest of the season. Like I said, Detroit has the fifth worst attendance figure in Major League Baseball. And, they sold out opening day, but they have had 2 times where the home crowd was 20,000 or more.
Wow.
So they got to do something about that.
Yep.
And I just found this out this morning because I was taking a look at attendance figures and Las Vegas. And I didn't put it in the notes yet. I just actually hand wrote it down this morning. The Las Vegas Aviators,
which is the minor league team, right?
Of Oakland A's.
That's why I didn't know whether it was
They're a
Oakland
AAA affiliate of the Oakland A's.
Okay.
They lead the minor leagues in both attendance through the first 28 games, 268,000 fans, and also they have the best average attendance per game, 9,600 people per game.
Well, let me tell you something. Vegas is becoming a great sports city, and baseball should take note of that. Let me tell you something about the Aviators. You're not going to have a rain out in Vegas. It rarely rains there. You're always going to have clear skies. Yeah, so you know what? Rainouts aren't a problem. So when you buy a ticket, they're probably going to have.
They've had 22 sellouts. Yeah, and like I said, they've been averaging 9,600 people per game.
Yeah,
that's better than the Miami Marlins, the professional, major league team. Miami Marlins have had 9,500 people per game, so they're outpacing a major league team.
Well, hey, it's a good place in Vegas to bring the kids. You're not going to bring them to a casino. You're going to bring them to a ball game. And good for them.
And just so to round out that story, the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs.
Yeah, they're the Phillies farm team.
They're second to the Aviators in overall attendance.
Really? Good for them. Well, there goes my weather theory, because it's really crappy out. It's in Reading. No, wait, it's not Reading.
Lehigh Valley.
Lehigh Valley, yeah. No, it's they get some rain there.
And the Charlotte Knights.
Okay.
They're second in the people per game. Attendance, average attendance per game to the Aviators. And the Knights are the AAA affiliate of the White Sox.
Okay.
So I thought that was kind of interesting that Detroit's having this trouble. Miami's having a huge amount of attendance problems. I don't know why. I mean, I guess people don't want to go see a baseball game down in Florida anymore. But, they're kicking ass in terms of attendance.
Exit 4.
And last but not least, I could have put this in the eSports exit, but I thought this was just too funny a story. And it involves Microsoft again.
Okay.
I think Microsoft is trying to tell everybody that gamers stink. They have just launched a line of how can I put this? Body products.
All right, like
body spray,
like
deodorant, the shower gel, all that stuff.
This is Xbox themed. I don't even know what that means.
Well, Xbox is owned by Microsoft. I
understand that, but I don't. I mean.
What does an Xbox smell like? I don't know. What does a gamer smell like? We won't know because they're covering up the smell.
I guess.
I mean, I guess they didn't think Cheetos was actually a good scent for a body wash.
Yeah, right. Hot Pockets?
Yeah, exactly.
They smell like Hot Pockets?
But this is going to be in Australia and New Zealand only, and it's really...
Oh, really? Oh, okay. You can't get this...
Not yet. Yet. This is... It's really the Axe body products, body spray products, deodorant.
Oh, so Axe is involved with it?
Well, overseas, the Axe brand is Lynx.
Okay. All right.
So wherever you see a Lynx body wash or something, that's really Axe.
Okay.
In the United States, domestically.
So they're marketing toward the
gamer crowd,
eSports crowd, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right.
And this is the official description, and really, I think they went overboard on this. Lynx Xbox, that's what it's called, is a fresh scent of pulsing green citrus featuring top notes of kaffir, lime, and winter lemon. I don't know what a winter lemon smells like.
Yeah, right.
Aromatic herbal middle notes of mint and sage, and woody bottom notes of patchouli, and clearwood.
All right.
So whatever those smell like combined, that's what your Lynx Xbox products are going to smell like.
So you're not going to run out to the store and get them in the U.S., right?
No, but if you're in Australia, New Zealand, they're going to be in grocery stores and pharmacies across those two countries. There are plans to see how it does in terms of making it available in the United States and other places. You could probably order this online and have it shipped from Australia to you from, if you're in the United States. Hey. I don't know. I mean, I've never seen a Lynx product here. I'd be
very curious to see what it smells like. I don't
even know
if I see it anywhere. I don't know where I'm going to see it if they're not around here. I'd pick it up and smell it, or I just smell it in the store, I guess.
I don't even know what half those things smell like, let alone separately, let alone together. So it'll be interesting to see if it actually makes it to the United States.
Well, today's trip down the Turnpike was brought to you by Drizzly, your online liquor store. Available in over 95 cities across North America, Drizzly offers a huge selection and competitive pricing with a side of personalized content. Now there's no need to leave the house. Get alcohol delivered in less than an hour by Drizzly. Head on over to drizzly.com and order today, and now get $5 off your first order of $20 or more when using our promo code DRINK19 at checkout. Shop beer, wine, and liquor with drizzly.com.
And as always, to get in touch with Turnpike Sports, you can call or text us at 609-512-5910. Hit us up on Facebook or Twitter. Our handle on both pages at Turnpike Sports. Our email address is info@turnpikesportsradio. Don't forget to order your International Bikini Team calendar. info@internationalbikiniteam.org is the email address for your ordering information. And you can catch the show on your smart TVs, Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV. Head on over to turnpikesportsradio.com and you can click the link to catch the show on your smart TV. Show is also distributed through iTunes, iHeartMedia, and we also have a YouTube channel, and soon we may be even having the show distributed through another distributor coming soon. And we'll announce that later on down the road when we actually have it all set up.
And stick around because I get to talk to two authors of one of the best books on sports betting out there. It's called The Logic of Sports Betting, and we're going to talk to Ed Miller and Matthew Davidow right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back with more Turnpike Sports. Hey, this is Dave Weishuttle from Turnpike Sports with this week's Bet Flash. Illinois has joined the growing list of states to legalize sports betting. The new legislation requires the use of official league data, forbids betting on Illinois college teams, and has a 15% tax rate. Online-only betting companies such as FanDuel and DraftKings must wait 18 months before launching in Illinois under their own brands. A federal judge in New Hampshire has ruled against the Department of Justice and their interpretation of the Wire Act. In his opinion, Judge Paul Barbadoro stated that the Wire Act only applies to sports betting and no other online forms of gambling. It is expected that the federal government will appeal this decision. Apple is changing the rules with regard to real money betting apps. Under the new policy, operators have to change the coding of their betting apps to native Apple language, or they will be taken down from the Apple Store. Apple said the new formatted apps have to be submitted by September 3rd for approval. Luckily, I use Android. From the seaside to the desert, from the betting lines to the sites online, Turnpike Sports has got you covered. And be sure to follow us on Twitter at Turnpike Sports. New Jersey's sports betting market has exploded, and there's so many places to bet it can make your head spin. But PointsBet.com is the one online sportsbook you can't afford to ignore. PointsBet.com has everything a person would want in a sportsbook. Spread betting, moneyline betting, prop bets, you name it, you'll find it at PointsBet. Daily promos that can't be beat, odds boosters you won't find anywhere else, early payout promos, it's all at PointsBet.com. You can bet from anywhere in New Jersey using your mobile device. And now there's even a better reason to sign up with PointsBet.com. Go to PointsBet.com and sign up using our promo code PIKE, that's P-I-K-E, and you'll get 2 risk-free bets up to $1,000. PointsBet is the preferred sportsbook of superstars Allen Iverson and Darrelle Revis. They even have the Revis Betting Academy hosted by Darrelle Revis himself. So sign up today at PointsBet.com using our promo code PIKE and start having some real fun. That's promo code PIKE, P-I-K-E. PointsBet. Stay sharp. Must be 21 years or older and in New Jersey to place a bet. Terms and conditions apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Psst. Yeah, you. Come here. Haven't you heard? We don't need to hide anymore. Now, we can shop privately for adult products at adamandeve.com. They've got massage oils, lingerie, and lots more we can't mention here. Use offer code SPICE404. They'll give you 50% off almost any one item, 3 free DVDs, free mystery gift, and free shipping. That's 50% off, free shipping, and more. Private shopping starts at adamandeve.com.
I bet you $20 I can get you gambling before the end of the day. No way. I'll give you 3-to-1 odds. Nope. 5-to-1. Nope. 10-to-1. You're out.
Welcome back to Turnpike Sports. You know, sports betting is becoming a huge business in this country with more and more people trying their hand at it every day. Hell, listeners can stick around for the commercial break and they'll probably hear a couple commercials for sports books. That's why I'm excited to talk to our next guests. They have written, in my opinion, one of the best books on sports betting out there today. It's called The Logic of Sports Betting, and we have both authors on today, Ed Miller and Matthew Davidow. Ed and Matthew, thanks for coming on.
Hey, thank you so much for having us. I'm Ed.
I'm Matt.
Okay. Yeah, I got to tell you, I mean, I talked to you off air, and what a great book it is. I mean, what made you write this book about sports betting? I know both of you have a background in poker. What is so interesting about sports betting that inspired you to write The Logic of Sports Betting?
So Matt and I have, Matt's been involved in sports for a long time, well over a decade. And I got involved. I kind of transitioned my efforts from poker to sports in about 2015. I first got into it with daily fantasy, and then I met Matt, or reconnected with Matt shortly thereafter, and we decided to start working on sports modeling stuff full time at that point.
There's just so much misinformation out there, I think, and when people think about sports betting, they think about a narrative, and this team's going to beat that team, or this is the sharp side today, and there's a lot more to it that we find fascinating, and we were hoping to share that.
You know, as I said, more and more people are trying their hand at sports betting, and I love how you started off the book on how people should view the idea of placing a bet. I know a lot of people just think it's them against a sports book, but that's not really the case, is it?
Yeah, that's not the case at all. It's funny because, if you're in Las Vegas, and you walk into a sports book, you see guys sitting by themselves in a cubicle with a sheet of paper and, maybe a notebook, and they're doing calculations, and it looks exactly like the guy doing the Sudoku puzzle.
Really, if you look at it, if every sports book had the same line, it kind of would be a Sudoku puzzle.
Right.
You look at the lines, you make your own determinations, and you go from there. However, every sports book has a different line. If you think about a situation in a football game where one sports book has a 3.5, one sports book has a 4.5, and I'm a bettor, you can clearly see how if I see the 3.5 and the 4.5, this sports bet is a three-way game between both sports books and myself.
One of the first concepts I read in the book, and I thought was a great point, was, the whole idea about sports betting is to get the best value for your bet and to avoid what you call the picked over effect. What is that, and why should bettors be looking at that?
Right. So, it's this, again, goes back to kind of the fallacy with thinking about it as like a puzzle or a one-person thing, because if you're looking at a football line, you're looking at the 3.5, say, well, you're not the only person who's looking at that 3.5. There's a whole country full of people who are looking at exactly that same line, and there's some people who bet a lot of money who look at those lines pretty much all the time. They sleep maybe a little bit, but and if there was something that was just great value, if a sportsbook was just giving money away, well, somebody else would have seen that. Now, this is not to say you can't possibly beat sports betting, but because you obviously can, but you have to understand that every line you're looking at has also been looked at by other smart people. If there was value there, they probably would have gotten it. Certainly if there was easy value, if it was just obvious value, they would have grabbed it. Eventually, if people bet something, the line moves and then it goes away.
At the core of any betting activity are two important concepts that you guys touched on. That is the break-even percentage and the hold. I want to talk first about the break-even percentage. What is that, and why is it so important for bettors?
Well, the break-even percentage is the percent your bet has to win in order for you to break even if you theoretically make the same bet over and over and over again. So, like if I'm flipping a coin, the break-even percentage is 50%. Now, the minute I change those odds from American 100 to -10 or, decimal 0.91, et cetera, the minute I change those odds, now if I want to break even on my bet, I have to win a different percentage at the time.
Yeah, so the way, sports betting odds are presented in the U.S. are in American odds. And I have to say, I mean, I'm way used to American odds. That's what I've been looking at for 20 years. But you know, if you're an alien and you're just seeing them for the first time, maybe it's not the best way to express this stuff, right? So let's say you got a baseball game and the Yankees are minus 150. Well, what does minus 150 mean? It means you have to bet $150 to win 100. The minus means that's how much you have to bet to win $100. So what is the break-even percentage of that? That to me, that's the more useful number. Well, if you're betting 150 to win 100, then if you bet 5 times, you have to win 3 out of those 5 times to break even, because you're going to lose 150 twice. If you lose, that's 300, and then you win 100 3 times, that's 300. So you're going to break even if you win 3 and lose 2. That means your break even percentage has to be 60%. So I think that 60% number is a more useful number to think about when you're analyzing sports bets logically than the minus 150 number. So we in the book suggest, we give you kind of a formula, a quick way to convert between that, that minus plus notation and the break-even percentages, which really let you think more clearly about it.
Now, the second concept you really discuss a lot in the book is the hold, which is the way a sports book makes money. What should bettors be aware of when it comes to that figure?
So again, in the book, we to me, this is a very basic concept. The hold is exactly how a sportsbook makes money. They put minus 110 on both sides, and we teach you in the book how to calculate the hold percentage, first of all. And then beyond that, the more interesting point is how to get that hold percentage down, not from one sports book, but by comparing 2 different sports books or 2 different markets against each other, which is really an extremely core sports betting concept. So as a simple example,
really, it's a core gambling concept.
Yeah, it's a core gambling concept.
Sure.
The concept applies in financial markets, it just applies in almost any, money sense, really. But let's say you have, 2 sports books and they both have the Yankees Red Sox game. And at one sports book, the Yankees are minus 150 and the Red Sox are plus 140. And then at another sports book, the Yankees are minus 142 and the Red Sox are plus 132. Okay? So you got 2 sports books, same game, same markets, same outcomes. You can't tie. Baseball games don't tie, right? Mm-hmm. So at sportsbook A, you've got the Red Sox plus 142. At sportsbook B, plus 140. At sportsbook B, you've got the Yankees minus 142. So each of the sportsbooks on their own have their, quote unquote normal hold on the game. But from your perspective as a bettor, you can take minus plus 140 at one book or minus 142 at the other book. To you, it just looks like a market that's only 2 cents, plus 140 minus 142, which means you've taken that hold, that the hold that the sportsbook has on it, and you've cut it by like 80%, basically.
To simplify, would you rather play a line that was minus 1, pick a side between minus 142 and minus 132, or minus 142 and plus 140?
Right.
And the way to find the minus 142 and the plus 140 is to sign up accounts at sports books and look for lines.
Yep.
I got to tell you, I love that concept when I read it in the book. I mean, that whole type of synthetic hold when it comes as close to zero as possible, using the different sports books against each other almost. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, sorry. I thought that was the end of the question. It's funny how often, from the sportsbook side, they often think, well, we're going to hold 4% on this game. We're going to put up this 4% hold, this 5% hold, and that's what we're going to hold. Yet any bettor that's looking across various sportsbooks is going to lose less than that. And that's right off the top. By opening the accounts, by shopping lines, you're going to lose less than that hold. If you shop lines and look and think about it enough, you're going to get the hold on your side.
Now, does that concept and that technique really help the bettors who are living in states with a lot of sports books? I mean, for example, I'm sitting here in New Jersey. I can go to any brick and mortar sports book in New Jersey or in Pennsylvania. And plus I have like 3 sport book apps on my phone. However, people living in Rhode Island that have 2 brick and mortar sports books with no more mobile sports betting, how does that technique you just described about creating a synthetic zero hold benefit people in New Jersey more than Rhode Island?
Well, it's interesting you ask, because obviously in New Jersey, you're blessed with many options. You're currently blessed with a lot of marketing dollars being thrown at bettors and many lines. You can sit at your house, you can look at the lines, you can choose the best ones. Now, of course, everybody else is doing the same thing. That's the picked over effect. There's some very good bettors in New Jersey. They're also sitting looking at the exact same apps, looking for the exact same bets. However, in Rhode Island, where there's only a couple of brick and mortars, they take lower limits. There's probably not the same sharp bettors that are sitting in those brick and mortars. Therefore, if you lived in Long Island, it might be harder, it might be more time consuming, but less picked over effect. You go to the casino, you look at the lines. Now, of course, you're only able to bet at the lines in Rhode Island, but if you also are able to see lines at other places in other states, other sports books, you can create the same synthetic holds. Now, of course, you won't be able to place the bet in New Jersey when you like that side. You'll only you'll get the bets that you find in Rhode Island. But if you take the same concept and you only play the bets that you would take in Rhode Island, you'll actually end up doing better than at the sharper places in New Jersey when you're competing with the best of the best.
Yeah, because the key, the sort of interesting idea there, I think, is so I agree, obviously, completely. So on one hand, the competition in New Jersey really helps bettors because obviously there's so many different options, and it gives you more ability to get those holds down. On the other hand, as Matt pointed out, there's also a lot of competition from the bettor side. And sometimes you can find, the road less traveled sometimes can be profitable too. But the interesting idea, I think, is that you don't actually have to be able to bet both sides. It's useful information to know that someone somewhere is taking money on a bet at a certain number. Because, and this is a more general sports betting concept, anytime anyone is willing to actually bet real money on something, that's useful information. And that's information that you can use to your advantage, even if you're sitting in Rhode Island and you can't actually accept the bet yourself.
A great example for Rhode Island, the type of example. I have a friend who lives in Mississippi, and which is a similar situation to Rhode Island. I think it's changing, but at least for now, it's only brick and mortar. There's no mobile, and some of the places are somewhat independent and run by some of the smaller operators. And he was able to go to one of the brick and mortars, sit there, wait for the halftimes of the college basketball games, and they were actually using a European basketball model that had the totals to where there was more points in the first half of their college basketball games. So these things were like 5 and 6 points off of other sports books across the world. He just bet about 500 a game throughout the season and ended up making a solid 6 figures, and that's something that would never happen at an app in New Jersey where someone could be sitting on their couch at home, seeing the same thing, picking off the same numbers. The fact that he lived in a small place in Mississippi where he had to go to a place where not many people were to get this was the same reason the numbers were so. I mean, he was playing into a synthetic hold that was in his favor of like 10%.
Right.
One of the questions we get from our listeners regarding sports betting is where do these numbers and odds come from? And I think the great thing about your book, The Logic of Sports Betting, is you pull the curtain open on this industry and explain why the numbers are what they are. Can you explain the difference in market-making sportsbook versus retail sportsbooks? Because I think it's a really important distinction that you made in your book.
Well, I think years ago there was a guy in the Man of Vegas, a legend named Bob Martin, and he was, I considered the sharpest better, and that's where the term the Vegas line comes from. It was basically his line. Well, of course, that was, years before Internet. Today, everybody shares information. The information gets shared often within seconds. Therefore, it doesn't take one person setting lines in one place and then people asking what lines it is. Everybody, the entire planet of sports fans is participating in this process. Ed?
Yeah, so the market-making process is just the simple idea that I think a lot of people have about bookmaking is you put up a line, you take a bet, and you move the line, right? And you do that enough times. Okay, I put up Pick'em. Someone wants to bet on Alabama. Okay, I move the line to Alabama -1. Someone wants to bet on Alabama again. Okay, I move the line to Alabama -2. And I just keep going until people stop wanting to bet one side overwhelmingly and start to want to bet either side. And now I've found a pretty good line. So that's the concept of market making. It's called price discovery. Again, this concept applies in financial markets and all sorts of things. So the thing is, though, that not everyone is going to have, you need some sort of betting liquidity, for lack of a better word. You need enough bettors who are interested in the market to make a market like that. Well, what happens if you want to put a line up for a game where you don't really have, hundreds of bettors in your market interested in betting. You only have a few, but you want to put a lineup for them. So an example I often give is like, think about Australian rules football, right? So in New Jersey, I'm sure there are some Australian people who want to bet Australian rules football, but really there probably aren't that many. And whereas in Australia, the whole country wants to bet on Australian rules football. So you got a sports book based in Australia. They can easily do the market making process. They can put up a line. They can take bets. They can move the bets on action, and they're going to find a good line. If you're in New Jersey and you want to put up a line on Australian rules football, what are you going to do? You're going to copy the sportsbook's line in Australia, right? So they did the work. They found a good line. And now you just say, okay, well, that's a good line. Let me just put that up and offer it to my bettors. Now, and that's what we call the retail process. That's where we're saying, okay, we're just going to let our customers bet, basically buy a bet from us on Australian rules football at the prevailing price that we know about. Now, the problem from the retail bookmaker's perspective is they don't really know where that line came from. All they're looking at is a screen that says, minus 12.5 on Sydney or whatever. And, they don't know. They just put minus 12.5. Mm-hmm. Well, maybe you have the smartest Australian rules football bettor in the world in New Jersey, and, they want to unload on your numbers. So the sports book potentially could be at a disadvantage when they're trying to, copy a market maker in that way. But that's the basic idea.
We see on TV the sports analysis and these betting experts. They're telling where all the public money is going on a game, which side has the most money going to it. Is that an important fact, and how do bettors use that information about who's betting on who?
So the answer to this was a little bit complicated, and it has to do with that market maker retail concept. So there's a lot of people who bet real money every day into American sports markets. And, they tend to bet in certain places and not others for various reasons. And so their action is going to tend to show up, only at a subset of all the available sports books, and then there are other sports books where they're going to predominantly get, public money. So in other words, not these, sort of more hardcore bettors that bet bigger and, spend more time on this. So the way that shakes out is that kind of everybody involved in this market knows about this. This is not a secret. And so everybody knows that the lines that are arrived at where the sort of sharper people tend to bet are going to be sharper lines on average, because exactly the market making process tends to happen, better there. And therefore the line that you get at those sports books is going to be a little sharper. Well, what often happens is that the sports books that don't take a lot of the sharp action often tend to behave kind of like in the Australian rules football example. They say, okay, well, instead of take a bet, move a line, let me just kind of peg my line to whatever they have where I know where the sharp guys are betting. So what that happens is that the line tends to get set at different sports books predominantly than where the public money gets bet.
It would be a good example of this. Like, how much did New Jersey lose in the Super Bowl? It was well publicized. Well, it was, 1.4 million?
Oh, it was more than that, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, however much it was, you think about it, why did they lose so much? Well, they lost so much because they decided to make a bet with the people on the other end of the bet, that the public bet on the Patriots. They said, you know what? Instead of moving the line, trying to take action on the other side, we're just going to hold this and hope that the Rams cover +3. I'm not saying it's a bad strategy. It's in fact a good strategy. It happens every day across every market and every sport by the same sports books. They're not balancing this action. They're simply holding the action they think is good, hoping that their side will win the game or cover the game enough of the time, which obviously they mostly do. And therefore, for the most part, as a bettor, we don't really see the public money moving the line. And if you think about it, the Super Bowl line moved some. Well, yeah, they had, like you said, much more than 1.4 million, bet on the side. If you take a run-of-the-mill, even NFL game, the game on Sunday afternoon, there's a lot less action in the game. They're not moving the line on the public action on that game.
Yeah, they'd rather gamble against the public than kind of in their mind they're giving some of their their EV back
Well, often
you know,
they are.
yeah, exactly. No, exactly.
Look at it from their perspective.
For sure. I'm
Sure.
not saying they're making a mistake at all. I think they're making a very logical business decision. But the reality from the bettor's perspective is, well, if the sportsbook doesn't move the line, then you can't bet against the public because they didn't move the line,
Yeah.
right? So that's kind of the idea. Yeah.
I got to tell you, the one concept that I loved in your book, The Logic of Sports Betting, you guys make the great point that in order to find good bets, a bettor should attack a sportsbook when they are vulnerable and avoid betting into a sportsbook's strengths. What are some of the strengths and weaknesses of a sportsbook that a bettor should be aware of?
So
In play.
yeah, in play. So in play is a big one. I mean, this is a big one that's coming. So
I got to tell you, it's huge in New Jersey. That everyone's talking about in-play betting in Jersey, so it's such a big issue.
The strongest lines are these ones that get tons of market making, where there's tons of time. Everyone can look at the lines, everyone can take a bet. The more that's picked up, the more all these processes.
More writing stories about the information.
Right.
Everyone's sharing in the process of making the line.
Right. So the lines that get made that way end up being the strongest lines. Your NFL sides and totals, your NBA sides and totals, all those big numbers that everyone talks about. All the bets that are smaller, that fewer people are talking about, fewer people are looking at, maybe there's less time.
Here's a great example. The other night, Game 2 of the NBA Finals, the line was up for 3 days. Means the same two teams playing anyway. Everybody's talking about the game. Everyone's analyzing the game. There's so much thought and money. There's bets both ways. I think the line closed. It was about Toronto 2.5. And that line has to be considered super sharp, super picked over, so much time, so many thoughts, so many people. Then, in the middle of the fourth quarter, Klay Thompson went up, he shot a shot, he came down, he was limping, cut the commercial. Sportsbooks put a line up. You were able to bet on Toronto plus points, Toronto to win the game, Golden State minus points at the time they were winning the game, Golden State to win the game. There was a total up. All of the places that then put up a line, they had to take in that information that Klay Thompson, Golden State's best player, may not finish the game, as well as the game situation, what was happening, all this information, they had to put up a lineup within seconds. At that point, there wasn't a whole day for everyone to look at the line, think about it. How hurt is Klay Thompson? Is he going to come back? Is he not going to come back? Is he in the locker room? Let's go replay that. Is that a knee? Is that a hamstring? There wasn't time for any of this. Therefore, different places will have different numbers. Synthetic holds lower. I'm sure there was many cases of arbitrage, scalping, like negative hold, where I could take one side at +6 even money, the other side at -6 at plus money. I'm sure especially in New Jersey, I'm sure these spots about now the whole timeout lasted for 2 minutes. But what a great opportunity for bettors. No matter what side you want, you would have been able to profit at that point. Whereas an hour before the game, good luck.
Right.
Yeah, that was a lot of people's questions about in-play betting because, bettors have limited time. They really can't go shopping around and looking at the different sports books, especially if you don't have mobile where you're at. What are some of how should a bettor use the limited amount of time when you doing in-play betting?
Well, what a great question. The way I would look at it is I would take, if I have mobile, I do in Nevada, I'll look at a couple of sports books that, will accept, the action, and I'll look at those lines. If I'm in a brick and mortar, like your Rhode Island, suggestion, I'll look at the Rhode Island line. Now, what I would do is I would compare the line in the brick and mortar in Rhode Island, or even the Nevada sports. I would compare that line to any other lines that I can happen to see. And as more places come online and more information gets distributed, that I think will be a little easier. But you simply look at the places you can actually play at, and go from there. As a matter of fact, this feels like a shameless plug, but we're launching our company in the fall. We'll have free to use in-play odds throughout American sports on our website.
Wow,
so
that's great.
I'll tell you what to do in September. Look at our line, look at your sports book, decide which one is sharper. If there's a negative synthetic hold and you think that you like our side, well, bet the other side.
Right. Yeah, our website's going to be deckprismsports.com, deck, D-E-C-K, prismsports.com. And yeah, as Matt said, our company is we're going to supply lines to sports books, but also, at least in the meantime and possibly indefinitely, we plan to also publish a lot of our lines on our website.
More than anything, we're trying to raise the water level.
Yeah, exactly.
Same with the book.
We think more information for everyone, bettors, operators, regulators, lawmakers, everyone, the better. That's kind of where we're at, and that's the approach we're taking.
Now, like I said, you have an amazing book here, and I think the amount of information. I've been a gaming lawyer for 25 years, and I learned so much from reading this book. It's just fantastic. But I want to ask you something. A lot of bettors are familiar with the point spreads and the money lines, and what you guys call related markets. I mean, are they the places where bettors find the most value, or you think it's the derivative markets like prop bets and future bets where bettors can really do well and find good bets?
Well, so when we say related market, we really are just talking about two markets where, the price is logically related to one another. So one related market might be, Toronto's chance to win game one and Toronto's chance to win the series. Obviously, those are related, right? The more likely Toronto is to win game one, the more likely they are to win the series. Also, there's bets within the game one. Toronto to win game one, Toronto to win the first half of game one. Obviously, if they win the first half, they're more likely to win the game. First quarter, even some props can be related. What is the Kawhi Leonard over prop is probably related to Toronto winning the game. All that kind of stuff. Basically, any two bets that you can think, how are these related? If one wins, is one more likely to win, and vice versa. Those are related markets.
Usually this is a spot that takes math. If you want to compare related markets, no matter what, you have to use some level of math. An example of this, I was actually asked yesterday. I was telling somebody how much I like the Toronto Raptors in general in the series versus Golden State. The person I was talking to said, "Oh, well, then you must have bet the Raptors for the series." Well, no, as a matter of fact, I didn't. The reason being, I used math to compare the game lines that I saw. My ideas for the game lines would be later in the series, and I used them to compare that to the series price. I have an Excel spreadsheet with if statements. Again, this is a couple levels higher, but I used the math, compared the lines, and determined that actually I was better off betting the Raptors in the games rather than the Raptors for the entire series.
You guys made a really interesting point about future bets. Can you talk a little bit about future bets, and is that a place where bettors right now can find real value?
Sure. So the futures bets are kind of a double-edged sword, and this is sort of a timely question because in some ways this is I think what Jeopardy James has been doing a little bit, in his sports betting career. So. Futures bets are multi-way bets, obviously. You can bet on, any of 30, 32 teams to win the championship, 15 to win the pennant or whatever it is. So the way sportsbooks treat multi-way bets is they add more hold to the market. So instead of having like a 4% hold market like you'd have on a two-way market, you have like a 15, 20, sometimes even more percent hold on these futures markets. Now, you might be, the sort of, first level thinking is, oh, well, that hold is crazy. It's hard to beat a 4%. I'm not even going to think about a 15%. But that's actually not quite the right way to think about them because they're actually much, much harder for the sports book to price as well because now instead of trying to get like basically one number right, which is what they're trying to do on a two-way market, they're trying to get 15 independent numbers right. These numbers are all related to each other, and it's sort of the shape of a distribution. It turns out to be a much harder problem for the sports books, and they miss things all the time. So it's also not always on the top of their list of things to do. So let's say there's a champ. I mean, this happens at baseball. Let's say one team goes on a 10-game winning streak. Well, their chance of winning the pennant might have gone up by quite a bit. The sportsbook might be a little bit behind on that. They might not, maybe the team's still not in first place. They're not now leading. They're just, more likely than they used to be. They went up from 0.5% to, 3 or 4% chance to win the pennant. But that futures price is still stuck at, 1% maybe. All of a sudden it went from a bad bet to a really good bet, and no one was even paying attention.
What do you guys think about parlay betting? Everyone seems that I talk to likes to bet parlays. What should bettors be looking for when they're looking to bet a parlay, or are they even smart to do? Should you stay away from them?
I love betting parlays, and I think parlays are a great tool, whether you're a recreational bettor that's expecting to lose the full hold or someone who's trying to cut into that hold or to even win. One of the things to remember with parlays that I think sometimes people forget is you're actually betting more money than it seems. And we explained this in the book, but to make it really simple, how often do you hear about the guy who's bet a 10-team parlay, an 11-team parlay, he's down to his final leg, he's going to win $100,000. All of a sudden, the last thing he wants is this bet on this game. When he bet his original $50 or $100, he didn't realize that in the permutation of the first 9 winning, he was actually going to end up with $50,000 bet on the Monday Night Football game. What should he have done if he wanted to hedge? Well, probably simply bet a 9-team parlay instead of a 10-team parlay. And again, this is not saying it's wrong in any way, just that you have to think about how much you're actually betting when you bet a parlay.
Yeah, and this is, I think, kind of a key point surrounding parlays. Is that, people talk about them on the industry side. They say, oh, parlays are a big moneymaker for the house. They hold 30% on the parlay. But what is really happening is, when you bet a $50 parlay, as Matt said, you're not really betting $50. You're betting, the equivalent of $500, on a 10-leg parlay, or $450, because, if you win the first bet, you double it, you bet again, and you double it, and you bet again. And we've all seen what happens when you double over and over again, is the numbers get really big. So, it's that's really, I think, the key concept is, that you're actually betting more money. And once you understand that, I think, the ways to use parlays to, be in a bettor's favor, start to fall out from that observation.
People sitting in states with lots of sports books are constantly bombarded by books offering like bonus deposits, odd boosts, rebates. I know one book in Jersey is saying that if you get 3 legs of a 4-leg parlay right, you don't lose any money. Is there some real value for bettors in these promotions, or do you really have to examine these closely to see if there's value there?
So, obviously you have to examine them. You have to think about them.
Sure.
The ones I've seen, a lot of them have been very attractive. I've seen a lot that I've been like, wow, that's a really good deal. Now, they don't give away the store. If they let's say they boost an odds on a baseball game from, they're in New Jersey and they want to boost the Yankees, and the Yankees are minus 200, and they say, okay, we'll make them minus 150. Well, if you're moving a line from minus 200 to minus 150, that's just giving money away, because that's enough of a move that you're for sure going to be able to create a synthetic market with some other sports book where this is a profitable opportunity one way or the other. So a lot of them I see are really great deals like that, but that doesn't mean every deal they offer is a great deal. You have to kind of look at them and think about, well, what are they really offering? How good is this deal? If they move it from minus 200 to minus 190 and they were already holding 6% on the market in the first place, well, maybe it's not a good deal. But, a lot of the ones I've seen have been really, really just very strong deals for the bettors, that if you're just aware and you're in New Jersey or you're in a new state where there's lots of competitors and people running promotions, that, honestly, if you just churn the promotions on a day-to-day basis, I think you can really, create a pretty solid earn.
Well, maybe a really easy way to think about it too is anytime you're betting with a promotion, whether it's a rollover bonus or on a event that's being promoted in the way it's described, anytime when your bet is also in line with a marketing promotion, you're inherently going to be doing better than if it wasn't.
Right.
So, assuming you're gambling anyway, whether it's, with an edge, not with an edge, whether you're trying to win, not trying to win, no matter where you fall on this spectrum, by taking full advantage of what the sports books or operators are offering, you're going to end up with more money in the long run with very little less time possibly. And one of the cool tools in the book is, we show you the best ways to maximize, things like rollover bonuses and free play. And some of it's a little counterintuitive, but it's also, pretty interesting.
Ed and Matthew, we're running out of time, and we just scratched the surface of what's in your great book, but I want to make sure you tell people where they can get The Logic of Sports Betting.
Sure. So again, yeah, as you said, the book's called The Logic of Sports Betting. It's available at Amazon in Kindle and paperback format currently. And we don't have audiobook yet, but we're working on it. But Kindle and paperback is available right now at Amazon.
You know, we get a lot of books here at the radio show on different subjects in gambling, but I have to tell you, The Logic of Sports Betting by Ed Miller and Matthew Davidow is one of the best books on sports betting I have ever read, and I urge you, if you're serious about sports betting, to pick it up. Ed and Matthew, thank you for coming on and telling us all about it.
Thanks. It's been great.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
Stick around. We'll be right back with more Turnpike Sports.
East Coast Gaming Congress is the second longest running gaming conference in the country.
2 days, focused discussion with the right speakers.
Coming together and paying attention to where is the future of the industry going and how do we prepare ourselves for it.
I want to give people the chance to do what they want to do. If they want to play online, if they want to come to the casino, but the more different offerings that you offer folks, the better experience you're going to have and the stickier your customer's going to be.
The biggest challenge facing this industry will be how do they attract new players and get them into their casinos by sports betting, by online gaming, and other emerging forms of gaming.
I started my day up at Monmouth Park, where I had the great pleasure of placing the first 2 legal sports bets in New Jersey's history.
I'm not a food and beverage person at all, but I found the food and beverage panel today fascinating.
You can come here even if you're not planning on playing, and then eventually turn a couple of diners into players, and then they got a routine in their life.
ECGC brings in subject matter experts that are all explaining what's going to happen next, and that's the reason I come here.
When it comes to online sports betting, PlaySugarHouse.com offers players one of the best experiences in the state of New Jersey. They offer live in-game betting on sporting events worldwide, moneyline bets, point spreads, prop bets, play-by-play bets, and many more. All at PlaySugarHouse.com, your new home for sports betting in New Jersey. Take advantage of one of their 12 easy deposit methods to get in on all the action. And now, when you sign up at PlaySugarHouse.com using our promo code PIKE, they'll match your first deposit up to $250. More bets, better odds at PlaySugarHouse.com. Must be 21 years or older and in New Jersey to place a bet. Terms and conditions apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Welcome back to Turnpike Sports. I want to give a special thank you to Ed Miller and Matthew Davidow, the writers of what I think is one of the best books on sports betting out there. It's called The Logic of Sports Betting. Seriously, if you're really curious about sports betting, the business of sports betting, and how to potentially make some money at sports betting, you ought to pick up The Logic of Sports Betting.
2 of the most intelligent guys on the topic of sports betting we've interviewed. So.
It's such a huge story out there, and a lot of people are trying it out for the first time, and a lot of people don't know what they're doing. You know, pick up The Logic of Sports Betting, and you'll have some idea of where your money's going, what to look for in the trends, and what to look for to make smart bets.
Yeah, and you know what? It was one of those interviews where they explained things nice and clear, and they didn't have any trouble talking about their own topic, which is nice to see. Sometimes you see authors get tongue-tied.
Yeah, let me tell you something. I just scratched the surface of what was in that book. Yeah. I mean, just for time limitations for the radio and for a podcast, you know, you have to cut things out.
But there's so much this time. We didn't do it this time.
There's so much information, and pick up the book, The Logic of Sports Betting. It's really great.
And we'll give a nice plug. It's on Amazon, Kindle, all that stuff, and go get it. Yep. It'll help you with your sports betting.
Well, have a great weekend, everyone. Enjoy the NHL and NBA playoffs, and we'll see you next time on the Turnpike.